Episode 4. Oh my God. If people only knew
that we were doing episode 4.
I mean, the fact that we're even doing this podcast is actually a very vulnerable thing.
It is.
And the fact that we're sharing so many personal things about ourselves.
I know, we're putting it out there.
It's a little risky.
You know, people would come up to you. It's funny. They do it now. They come up to me and like stuff that we've said in like interviews or whatever. And I just go, oh, okay. And I don't forget what I say. I forget that I gave up that part of me. And then when somebody comes to it, kind of shocks me like, whoa, I must have said it in a meeting or on an interview or something. You know what I mean? Somebody did that the other day. Forgot what it was.
Yes. So when people listen to this podcast, get ready for people to start coming up to you and saying,
I remember when you lived on.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we're not saying the exact locations and stuff, but we'll see. Anyhow, that being said, episode that we're recording right now is all about our backgrounds, our professional backgrounds. You know, again, everybody knows us from South LA Cafe. We get all the time, oh my God, you guys are blowing up. Oh my God, you guys are like an overnight sensation. Oh, you guys are like an overnight success. And
you guys are so blessed. Yes, we are.
Oh no, we are so blessed.
Yeah. No, I'm saying I said, yes, we are.
People, I think, have a perception because the majority of people know us from 2018 and beyond. When we started our Instagram page, and at that time we didn't even have any content. We were just like amplifying other people from the neighborhood, and people started, we had little pictures of us and our family painting walls and opening up the cafe and our GoFundMe and all that.
That's funny you said 18 is when we started that, because we had 20 years together before that.
We did.
Wow.
That's true. Yep.
Wow.
Yep. But that's my point, is we had 20 years together before that. And even before the 20 years together, I won't say how many years, but we had at least another 20 years apart before that. Mm-hmm. And so, we've talked about our backgrounds leading up to like our childhood and our relationship to the community, but we haven't shared our professional backgrounds. And so,
which is what has made not this easier, because none of it's easy. Because if it was easy, everybody would do it. That old cliche, but it actually resonates with me. It's not easy. But has given us the tools, is what this episode is about. Our professional background.
Right. Being
some of the things that you want me to start or you to start.
No, I want to give you some context and where I see the conversation going.
Okay.
I'd like to start off with a relatively quick overview of our professional backgrounds, yours and mine, as if we're going through our resume, highlights of basically our arc from college, on kind of. And then I'd like to carve out the other half of the conversation to talk about our experience.
Sorry, let me have some of this good coffee.
Okay, but that was supposed to be blocking the sticker. So if you pick that up now.
That's what you had it there for?
The sticker is, well, and also
my. You just take the sticker
off? No, because it needs to be taken off properly. It's going to rip and get weird.
There you go.
Anyhow, okay, as you would say, scratching the chalkboard, you just, our flow.
That makes it better. Go.
What I was going to say is I'd like to save the majority of the conversation about our experience about the real estate market and our experience through the real estate rise and fall, because I think that in particular speaks volumes. And there's so many lessons that we learned from that have made us, so much more resourceful and resilient now. So before you start going into that, let's see how focused we can be. And as if you're telling people just about your background and your professional background, what are the highlights that you would go through between, sort of when you first started working until now, that are jobs or skills that you think inform why you're thriving even in the hardest times?
I think all of my jobs had a piece of who I am today. I could start with 17, 18 years old working at, fast food. That prepared me for fast pace and customer service right out the bat. I worked as an assistant to a nurse. So caring about people, listening to people, all that early age. I was still in my teens when I had that job. It just feels like everything I've done, I've had sales positions.
You did a lot of sales.
You did a lot of
sales, a lot of marketing.
Selling door to door, that right there, rejection, understanding there's 1,000 no's before you get a yes, and you might get 2 yeses in a row, knowing that the next, 1,998 are going to be no's, but keeping that same spirit, keeping that same, tenacity going after the customers as if the next one could be a yes. So I learned that. I worked as a referee, being able to handle conflict, understanding the importance of both sides, understanding that you can't hold grudges. It's amazing. I learned that from a referee. You can't hold to the next situation, which we in refereeing would call the next play.
Right.
So I learned that this happened with you yesterday or this happened to you an hour ago. I can't bring that into what I'm trying to do now. So that helped me. Being a pest control guy, my God, that's helped me throughout my life. Understanding, construction, believe it or not, through getting my pest control license as a termite inspector.
You were an insurance claim adjuster.
I was an insurance claim adjuster actually before that. And that really, I got to understand life and death, honestly. I remember one time Michael Jordan's policy came across our desk. We signed Transamerica policy with Michael Jordan. And back then it was like a $2 million or $3 million policy. And we were like, oh my God, this is a lot of money. Now that would be a joke. That's his fingernail, $3 million. And in that, just learning, everything has helped me.
And then being a fire.
Hold on. And then working in sports when I worked for the Clippers.
And the Dodgers.
And the Dodgers was because the NBA was on strike, so they borrowed us. But I did that. But it made me understand marketing. It made me because back then I had the worst product in the NBA. But yes, I was still close to top 10 in the NBA in sales, in the entire NBA, with the losing franchise. And people always ask me, well, how was that? Well, I learned to sell what I had. And what I had was the rest of the NBA. Mm-hmm. That was all. That was my little secret sauce, is that I would sell, you're going to see Michael Jordan, yeah, you're going to watch the Clippers play, but you're going to get a chance to see Michael Jordan play. Mm-hmm. You're also going to get a chance to see,
That's smart.
So Tim Duncan and all that, that's the way I would approach people and had record sales, but that was my marketing. And then I left that, which I thought great position, dream job, right? To pursue I was actually already pursuing it for 8 years prior. And then the fire department called, right on the cuffs of becoming an NBA referee. So I had to make a choice. So that helped me in what I'm doing now, that you have to make these hard choices in life. Go down this road or that road. So I chose to be a firefighter, and being a firefighter has helped me with what I'm doing now, how important it is to safety, keeping things clean, doing things rapidly and with quality. The fire department taught me that. It also, being on the department, and it's really working for the city, it taught me how sometimes you got to stand up for yourself. because I was treated, mistreated at the fire department, and a lot of it had to do with the color of my skin, because we ended up having to sue the city. But it made me stand up. It made me stronger. So fast forward, here I am, owner of a coffee shop. What do? You have to clean. You have to clean toilets. I did that at the fire department. You have to market. I did that with the Clippers. Pest control. You got to have pest control. I mean, I can go on with all the jobs.
Conflict resolution. Community building.
All of that through, and then understanding when things are not, or problems occur, or things, the crash, the COVID, understanding that, you still got to function. You still have to go. What do they call it? Pivoting.
Yeah.
Being able to pivot.
But I think that ultimately gets back to the part that we're not talking about yet, which is about the real estate business that we had. I forgot about being a real estate agent. I didn't even mention that in there. Wow. Yeah.
But you can tell me more about some of your professional, because I'll take up the whole hour.
Okay.
I had a lot of jobs.
You had more jobs than I did. I stayed longer at the jobs that I did than you did. But I would just say my most significant 2 careers that play into, where I am now and what I know and what I do at the cafe. We already talked about my upbringing. And so that advocacy, community organizing, activism, that's in my spirit. That's in my DNA. It's part of who I am. It's not a job. It's part of my purpose in life.
Right.
So that thread is always there. But then right out of UCLA, I went right into working for the Department of Recreation and Parks for the city of Los Angeles. And,
talk about organizing. Good Lord.
Yeah. Ended up being a community center director at all of these amazing parks in Los Angeles, Yosemite Park, Pan Pacific Park, what's it called? Queen Anne Park,
and you're about 5 or 6 different ones. You're one off of Hoover. What was the name of that park?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I'm like already forgetting all the parks that I was part of, but there was a lot of them. Silver Lake. But
there's one on Hoover by USC. What was that?
That one wasn't my park. That was Hoover Park.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that wasn't my park.
You were training somebody over there or something.
Yeah.
Somebody's mentor.
But the point is, I worked there for 13 years, right? So I was at the city for 13 years and I learned all the things that I didn't like about the city, that even now you and I talk about why we love being entrepreneurs and why we love being the CEOs of our own company, because we can come up with an idea today, we can implement it tonight, there's so much fast change that you can make. If you see a problem, you can solve it. If you don't like the way the system's working, you can change it, right?
Doesn't have to go through 15 panels to get something to change.
Yeah. I mean, with the city, there's so many things that were great about it. Obviously, I believe in, resources for all people, our tax dollars going into parks and services and all of that. But at the same time, there was a lot that was so limiting to me in that space where I felt like I hit my max capacity or threshold of growth there within about 3 or 4 or 5 years. And I ended up staying for 13, right? And because I started so young, for most people in those city jobs, there is sort of that mentality of you're a lifer, you do it till you get your pension and then you leave. And so I started with that mentality, but I didn't leave quick enough. It wasn't until It wasn't until life intervened and our lives sort of fell apart through the real estate market crash and the recession and your career-ending injury and us having to sue the fire department, all that kind of stuff that happened. Woke us up. That was a catalyst. That was a catalyst for both of us, but sort of initially me that because you were the guy that always had it together. You were the guy that was always optimistic. You were the guy that was always glass half full and spiritual and faithful and all that. It wasn't until I saw how fragile and broken you were, that I realized I needed to take that place, at least at that moment in time. And through my own journey, which I won't take this episode to talk about, I had a spiritual awakening. I aligned more deeply to my purpose and calling. I realized all of those threads that I've talked about, the patterns and themes in my life. And I realized that communication and motivation, inspiration, leadership, mentorship, that was something I've always had a gift for, that I love. And so I transitioned into leaving the city, starting my own coaching and consulting firm, the Ward Wallace Group. And what's that mean?
That's cross your fingers. You took a leap.
I took a leap. I mean, come on. For most people,
during that time and all that we were going through.
That's a great point.
And then we just said, okay. And we talked about it at length.
Yeah.
And said, let's go. Go for it.
Not let's go. You said, Celia, let's go. And Joe, I will hold it down and I will keep the safe job. So
I hated that.
You hated what?
The having to be at a job that I was holding on to because of this, that I had to.
Yeah.
That part.
Well, I
made the best of it.
I think
they wouldn't have known that, me coming to work every day. They didn't feel that. They saw the happy Joe, whatever, but inside, yeah. Why did you do your face like that? I'm saying we're sidebarring. Oh, you didn't spill it. Thank God.
Didn't spill it.
Wasn't that much in there.
We're sidebarring now into another sub conversation, which is about, you.
That's what you do on podcasts. Didn't you know that? Go. Yeah. Throw it out there. It happens.
I'm trying to make my way through a point. And if you keep interrupting every time I'm talking, I can't get through any. I've tried 3 different points and you keep.
What podcast that doesn't happen? Name one. You can't. It happens.
Okay, I'm going to do that to you when you're talking and see how well you do.
I don't mind it.
Do you remember where we were when you started all the interruption?
Right just now? I was...
Before that, what I was saying.
No,
do you remember?
I don't remember.
Okay. I think we were talking about my career.
Yes. And somehow it floated into what I hated.
I don't know. Maybe the people listening remember what we were talking about, but I was having a point. Let me try and get back to it, which is I left the city and took a leap of faith.
There you go. That's where you were.
To start my own company, which was a one-woman show that eventually now is a multi-person, firm, a coaching and consulting firm. But what I was trying to say, because it's all leading into our pre-world before opening the cafe and the experience that we bring to what we do now.
Yeah, and proving that we're not an overnight success.
We're not even proving it, showing people, revealing to them a bit more about how long we've been together, how many things we've done together, and what got us to where we are now. And so all of that to say, because I'm about to wrap this part of it so we can go back to talk about our experience in the real estate market.
Okay.
But what I wanted to say about my career as a coach is the beautiful thing for me is that I aligned to my purpose and calling. And I got very deep into my own personal spiritual practice. And I got very deep into the work of empowering and mentoring people, in particular women, and in particular entrepreneurs. And I became an expert in what we do now, which is resonant marketing, purpose-driven business creation, scaling with sustainability, right? These were things that I learned, I practiced, I taught, I helped other people do. And it brought so much joy and purpose to my life. I found my special sauce. I found my lane. I was making money. I was happy, all of that. And not to say that it ever stopped. It never stopped, but
you just put it into this, which is amazing.
I put all of that into the cafe. Mm-hmm. So not to take full credit for, certain aspects of it. Not to take full credit for certain aspects of the cafe, but I'm saying, when people are like, oh, I love your Instagram or, oh, I love your emails or whatever. I'm like, yeah, that's me. I'm doing that with intention and also with experience. Like I
Right.
understand that people don't want to be sold to and hit over the head with here's a 50% off coupon. You know, they want to have a conversation. They want to build trust. They want to know who we are.
Because we want to. I mean, like that's, you know, we don't want that in our lives. So we don't want to have an audience and then just, you know, feed them the stuff that we don't like seeing. That wouldn't be good. So it works.
Yeah,
both
but
ways.
what I'm saying is traditional.
Yeah.
For people who are trying to understand why we're struck a chord of success. Okay.
Got you.
I'm trying to say there's intentionality behind everything that we do.
Mm-hmm.
And there's wisdom and experience that got us to this point through the life lessons, through the professional background, and my time spent working with all of the world-changing leaders around, you know, that I worked with and that I continue to work with, has taught me certain things about how to tap into that invisible vibration, energetic, that makes people be attracted.
You're the Celia AI. No, just kidding.
I'm definitely not an AI. That is definitely not an AI. Okay, let's go back and talk about the fact that one of our most formative experiences together, but also in business, that made it so when the pandemic hit 4 months into us opening the cafe, that we're thrown by it, but we also were able to pivot, which we'll talk about what we did and all that in the future. But for right now, let's talk about the fact that it was 1999, 2 years into us being together, and you said, Celia, let's go buy a piece of real estate. To give people some context, I grew up, you and I both welfare babies.
Right.
I grew up, for my own personal experience growing up in my life, I was very risk adverse.
Right.
I was very like wanting to hold on to every dollar. You were very opposite. You were much more risk taker. You had already...
Because we didn't have any dollars, so it was no real risk. It was like, what do I have to lose? Zero. So
right.
It
But
made
I'm
it a
saying
little easier to be
as far
more
as a
free.
mindset or a disposition, like right now, I would say I'm definitely a risk taker. I mean, with a strategy and calculated risk, but I'm saying in general, I'll go for it. I'll put life on the line, assets on the line now.
Right.
Back then, no.
No way.
But you were.
Slack wouldn't have been possible.
Slack would have never been possible back in the day.
No.
But that being said, you were. So you said, let's go get this piece of property. I said, you're crazy. What do we got to do? You said, trust me, babe, we'll figure it out. You know, it's not that hard. People are doing it. We could do it too, you know? So
A lot of paperwork. I was like, oh my God. But go ahead.
well, and so we found this house, a 3-bedroom, 1-bath home in Palmdale, California for $72,000 that required a $5,000 down payment we were first time buyers,
So we get
$5,000 down
3%,
payment. We went and asked my grandmother.
And she was like, here, like, are you kidding? That's what, because she was a risk taker.
Well, let's just
she
be
was
clear.
like,
She wasn't like that
she
because
didn't
she
have
had
it like
piles
that.
of money.
She didn't have it like that, but she was just so
She
proud
was an entrepreneur.
of us. Yeah. She's so proud of us that we were willing or ready to do that.
Yeah. So she gave us the $5,000 down. We got our first property. It was the mortgage was $650 a month, and the rent on it.
It was less than that.
No, well, $550
All in, like insurance, the maintenance, everything was like $602.
Okay,
I kept a book,
but the rent was $1,150, right? So we were clearing about $500 a month, and we started this formula of like, okay, let's find houses and properties that we can bring people that maybe would not have an opportunity to live in such a nice place, bring them in, create an opportunity for them to live in a beautiful home, and also for us to somehow be making somewhere between $300 to $500 a unit.
Our goal was like to net $500 a month.
Yeah. And so we created a little formula. It was working for us. It was rinse and repeat over time. We started to become very ambitious, and we're doing it now. Granted, a lot of the work that we've done now, we had not done at the time in terms of our own development work, our relationship work. So even though we were doing it and on paper, it was like looking so successful, we had a lot of tension. We were not business partners like we are now.
Doing, if you look at it like that, we were a lot of trial and error, a lot of, knots on the forehead for running into the walls. Just, people always say this. If I knew what I know now.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. My goodness. Well, we probably wouldn't be doing this podcast about Slack. We'd be doing it about Bora Bora. I don't know. Would have been different.
We would not be doing it about Bora Bora.
I don't know. We'd have been doing it about the vacations that we're taking. I don't know, something boring.
Nobody would be listening. Well, they might be. We probably have some mid-level marketing thing about real estate or
there
something.
There you go, selling our books.
Yeah, selling our books.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad, it'd be Celia Joe book.
That's still coming. To give people some context.
There you go.
We went from like 1 property to 10 to 15 and so on and so on. So our portfolio was large. On paper, we're multimillionaires. And yet, what we know now that we did not know then is we had no mentors. Right. We had no people in our circle that were doing what we were doing. We
were always the most at our gatherings amongst our friends. We were the top one all the time. And we had no one that
knew more than us.
Yeah, they knew more than us.
And so the real estate market is going up, 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 up. And of course, as everybody knows now, right, the real estate market goes up, 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 up. It doesn't go up, up, up forever.
Kaboom.
And then when it crashed along with the entire economy, the recession, all of that, we made
a lot of mistakes. We looked at it and didn't know. We were afraid. We were just like, oh my God, like what's happening here? This is not the same. So we got scared. We thought we had made a big mistake, and so, or at least I did. And I was like, oh my God, we got too big, too fast, whatever. And didn't know didn't have the mentors. Like, again, now every step that we make now is planned out to the oomph power. You know what I mean? And we talk to everybody about the steps that we make now. Back then we weren't. So anyway.
Well, and just to say, like the majority of people during that time, we got pretty much wiped out. We lost the majority of our properties to foreclosure. We had to file for bankruptcy. We really hit rock bottom. It was at the same time, as we said, you were going through this battle with the fire department for a career-ending injury that was a result of hazing and discrimination, and we had to sue them. We were working with Johnny Cochran firm. Like
Isn't that funny? We were working with the Cochran firm. That's crazy.
You were like depressed and this broken guy. I'm starting now pivoting from there into 6 months, a year later, into starting my own company out of the epiphanies that I had from my spiritual awakening, from having to shift into, taking on your role.
Crazy when you think about it.
But all of that is to say, leading up to sort of the punchline of this episode, which is we're not an overnight success.
Yeah.
This is 25 years, 26 years together, plus the 20 plus more years before of our own experiences that led us into it. So, between the two of us, we got something like 100 years, experience here that we're bringing of life experience, partnership, trials and tribulations, highs and lows that brought us to this moment where we then decided to conceptualize and launch South LA Cafe, which will be coming in our next episode. But all of that to say, as we wrap this up, we did already allude to some of the lessons, but for as far as key takeaways from what we've said today, is there any, one key lesson or takeaway that you'd like to share that we've touched upon?
What I take away from this is, and just hearing, this is our lives, and I've lived this, but hearing it again, and in this moment, what I took away is just go through the journey. Don't, because I mentioned panic in there, But
Trust the journey.
yeah, just and live it. Like, I feel like for the most part, we were going through stuff, but we still lived it. We still, if you can look back, we still had our family events. We still had our lives. We still took our vacations regardless. You know, we still enjoyed life, enjoyed learning. We learned from, that's the biggest takeaway. Aha.
Light bulb.
Is that we learned from it. And that's what made us today who we are.
So as a reflection, and what I'm hearing you say in that is about having the consciousness.
I love when you do that.
To learn. I'm saying
wait, stop. I love when you do that. It's like I really was listening to you, and this is exactly what you said. Boom, boom, boom. Do it again.
Well, what I gotta think about how to say it again. But what I'm hearing you say in that lesson is one thing to live your life, but you can live your life but not pay attention.
Right.
And so people repeat a lot of mistakes, and patterns.
We're not.
But when you live your life and you are conscious and awake in it, even when you're going through the hard times, to be aware of what just happened, why did this happen? If and when I ever get this opportunity again, what should I be doing differently?
Exactly.
And then to actually hold the lesson, and to say it, speak it, teach others, all of that. Then when that scenario comes around again.
And sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't.
But it did for us with
COVID.
It
did for us. We saw that look again and went, all right, wasn't exactly like this, but I felt this before. And this is what I'm going to do about it this time, because I learned.
Yeah.
Bam, drop the mic again.
We're going to drop the mic on the lesson you learned, but I was going to share one that I learned.
Sure. What lesson you learned?
As I reflect on our professional journeys, I think my takeaway from this conversation is what I was saying about your purpose. Your purpose is a blueprint that you come into this lifetime with that is continually evolving. Mm. And you may be in a moment in time where your life is making no sense to you, mm-hmm. and you feel lost and you feel off course. But if you pay attention to what you're going through and you trust the process, then you can take what you're learning in that moment onto the next step in the journey. And then you're sort of layering upon that, and you're using it as a tool to course correct on your path. And you're continually course correcting. And before you know it, you're picking up all those tools from each life experience along the way, putting it in your toolkit, getting stronger, getting, more experience, more wisdom. And then at some point in your life, you're aligning to your happy place, your destination, and you have all these tools in your kit from all your life experiences, all the jobs you ever did. When you're doing pest inspector for Orkin, you're not thinking at that time, this is actually a skill that I'm putting in my toolkit for my future 20 years from now when I open up a cafe. But if at the time you were able to trust your journey and go, okay, I don't know if this is where I'm supposed to be with my life, but I'm going to trust that I'm here now, and I'm going to pick up something that I can take with me for the future. I think that's so permission granting for people that hopefully are listening to this to feel like wherever you are is the perfect place where you are. You have to believe that it's a divine assignment and that you're exactly where you're supposed to be. And instead of you constantly wanting something different or to be somewhere else, what would happen if you actually accepted where you were at and took as much that you could learn from that to add to your toolkit for your final destination?
Oh my God.
Now we're dropping the mic.
Ooh. Oh, I missed. Wait. Wow. Why do we always miss? Pay attention.
It's a wrap.
It's a wrap.
It's a wrap. Are you sure?
1, 2, 3. Oh,
we suck at this.
look at the hand.
Hey fam, if you're hearing this message, you've listened to the entire episode of the In the Mix podcast. And for that, we want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We hope you enjoyed this new episode, and if you did, please take 1 minute to hit the subscribe button to catch all future episodes, and then please give us a 5-star review. Also, if you want to support our Black and women-led multiracial movement to fight social, economic, racial, and food inequity, please head to our website, southlacafe.com, where you can become a monthly member, sponsor groceries, volunteer, buy merch and coffee, and make a tax-deductible donation. Sending you lots of peace, love, and blessings from our family to yours.